Throughout this presentation, references are made to Alcoholics Anonymous, AA materials, and helpful insights from AA members. This presentation is not endorsed by any AA member, AA group, or AA as a whole. In the interest of AA's tradition of anonymity, every precaution has been taken to guard the identity of any AA member in attendance.
Okay, I want to talk about recovery from alcoholism, a little bit about that. But before we do, let's talk about the family and how this, what we call a mental blank spot, bringing back the wrong information, how that works and how it hits the family. See, the problem with the mental blank spot is the alcoholic doesn't know he's having it. Because the alcoholic doesn't have it most of the time. Somebody pushes a drink his way, he says no. Somebody pushes a drink, he says no. No. Everything's working the way it should. But then once in a while, somebody pushes his drink his way and he brings this back. And that's the baffling feature. That's the cunning thing about alcoholism. It isn't very easy to get a hold of this idea because it just happens on occasion. There's a little guy inside of each alcoholic that I will call ism, and he's right next to a switch. This is like a switch on the wall. If he flips the switch up, the alcoholic goes here for his information to not drink. There isn't any. And when you don't know you don't have any, you don't have any. Now, if the ism does not flip the switch up, then you bring this back. And you get used to the right thing coming back, and the alcoholic thinks he's okay. Been making too hard a work of a simple project. Now guess who else thinks the alcoholic has power over the first drink? The family. His mom, his dad, his wife, her husband, the kids. Everyone is trying to combat alcoholism. And how are they doing it? Let me draw a line right down the middle of this. When my Uncle Barron and I were growing up together, we all thought that he drank because of the temptations. So we'd be over at Grandpa's house on Saturday evening for watching boxing. You know they used to have that? And the Pabst Blue Ribbon commercial would come up on the television. We would all go literally stand in front of the television. So that Uncle Barron, us little kids, we were scared to death Uncle Barron was going to start drinking again. So we knew what was going to happen. It was going to be ugly. So we thought these temptations are what caused Uncle Barron to drink. We were all zeroing in on that. And that's what every wife and every husband of an alcoholic does too. They try to treat this stuff over here. The wife of an alcoholic can be an awesome woman. She can make everything stress-free and trouble-free and problem-free, trying to give this guy a smooth place to operate so he doesn't have to drink. There's people in this room that understand what I'm talking about. The husband of an alcoholic can do the same thing. He thinks, what kind of a husband can't help his wife not drink? So he will go overboard to try to figure out all these stresses and things and grief and understanding, trying to keep her from drinking. And guess what? What's the problem with that? Everybody's on the wrong track. Everybody's on the wrong track. The reason the alcoholic takes the next drink is that right there. Nobody knows it. Guess what everybody is in an alcoholic family? Failure. Failure. Every person is a failure. When I fail constantly at helping my husband or wife stay sober, every time I fail, inside of my belly is another one of these X's of failure. When you got a husband that calls you at 5 o'clock and says, I'm going to be home at 6 after I have a couple with the guys, and you say okay and you have dinner waiting for him, and you did everything right that day and you feel like everything's going to work, and he comes home at 11, and the first thing he does when he gets home is drink because he feels like this. Doesn't even know what's wrong with him. He doesn't know what's wrong with him. Do you think that she walks up to him and says to him, honey, I understand that you've got an allergy to alcohol. And honey, I understand that you might have had a strange mental blank spot somewhere along the line and you started drinking again. So this is not your fault. Do you think that's what she says? No, that's not what she says. Because she's full of pain, of failure. She sat there with dinner again, and she does it again and again and again. When you have that much pain of failure inside of you, you have to let it out. You know who catches it? The little ones. You know why an alcoholic family is violent? And don't think they're not, because they are. The reason they're violent is because of that. The pain of failure. Now let's look at the pain of failure of the alcoholic too. Every night that he calls the wife at 5 o'clock and says, honey, I'm going to be home at 6. And he comes home at 11. You know what he tells her? Does he tell her, you know what, honey? I think that I've got an allergy to alcohol. I think that I had a strange mental blank spot last week and started drinking again. I couldn't help it. I don't think this is my fault. He says, no, listen. Jim showed up at the bar, and this is what was going on. And he's got a whole explanation for it. The next night, he has another explanation. He has another explanation. He has another explanation. Do you think this guy has pain of failure? This is the alcoholic. Think he's got some of those X's in him? A lot of them. You know who he points at? Do you know who he says, well, it's your fault? Who does he point at? Her, the co-alcoholic, the wife of the alcoholic. All of this is the reason that Al-Anon has the same step one as AA has. Now, I've been to Al-Anon meetings and listened, and I've heard people say, we were powerless over the alcoholic. They like to switch that a little bit. It's not what their first step says, is it? Powerless over alcohol. I'm as powerless over alcohol. There is nothing I can do about this. There is nothing I can do about this. There is nothing can be done about this. That's the right step one. But if we had this understanding, what would we have? We might actually have that woman who, when a guy walks home at 11 o'clock, when he walks in the front door, she might say to him, you know what? I think that you have alcoholism and this isn't your fault. Now that would surprise him, wouldn't it? But it would be the truth too. It would be the truth. And the reason that we have to go with this new idea as, look, the old way doesn't work anyway. Telling him, look what you're doing, you're ruining everything, you're messing everything up. It doesn't help anyway. The truth is, the alcoholic is helpless. Now, does that mean that I need to pretend that it's okay what he's doing to his kids and his wife and whatever? No, no, no. In fact, there might be a lot less of that, which we call enabling, a lot less of that kind of behavior, that justification, if we just accept it for what it is. This guy can't help it. There's nothing he can do about this. He's screwed. There's nothing he can do about it. But remember, we're all baffled because we think this is the reason the alcoholic drinks. Everybody's on the wrong track. Everybody's full of pain. This is the new attitude. And it's helped me in my hundreds of attempts to be helpful to alcoholics. I have never one time been successful at helping someone if I thought that they could do something about it. It's only when I've been convinced that they're truly powerless that I had the right attitude. You see, the alcoholic illness is the worst illness that there is. It even says it in the big book. When one has cancer, all feel sorry for him. Not so with the alcoholic illness. In fact, with the alcoholic illness, first, it makes everybody hate you. It takes all of your money. It takes your freedom. It takes your self-respect. Here's the list of what it takes. And then it kills you.